again, everybody, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the Inside Lowell studios here in beautiful, historic downtown Lowell. This morning, we're going to talk about a new program, relatively new, still in its infancy, designed to get people working to and from their jobs. Tough to get to work if you can't get a ride to work. So we're going to give you some information here on a service that handles that part of it for you. And the best part is you don't have to ride a crowded bus or a bus on its own schedule. You can kind of make it work on your schedule. But before we do that, I just want to thank all of our sponsors for helping to make our Inside Lowell podcasts possible, and all of Inside Lowell podcasts, all of Inside Lowell for that matter, possible. I want to start with, of course, with our friends at Washington Savings Bank. They've been serving the Greater Lowell community for over 130 years. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. Unicare, offering a wide variety of plans for people insured under the GIC at Unicare. Your health is their top priority, and watch for our Health Minutes, brought to you by Unicare on our Inside Lowell podcast outlets. Boston North Company, offering business solutions to help restaurant and retail clients save money. If you're not doing business with Boston North, you're not making as much money as your business could be. Boston North. Mahoney Oil Company, providing warmth and protection to families in Greater Lowell and in southern New Hampshire since 1925. That's Mahoney Oil. Can't forget our friends at Francis E. Preventure Insurance for auto, home, business, life. Trust the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for more than 40 years. Francis E. Preventure Insurance. GoPuff, our newest sponsor, a grocery store right at your fingertips. Use the code Lowell20 to receive $20 off your first order of $21 plus free delivery. Download the GoPuff app or visit gopuff.com today. And last but certainly not least, by the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action of arena football to the Tsongas Center in Lowell. Get your tickets today by visiting masspiratsfootball.com. And with that, I welcome in my guests this podcast. One of them you'll recognize. She's a familiar face here to the Inside Lowell audience, hosting podcasts of her own. She is the president of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, but she is also a member of the board of the MassHire Greater Lowell workforce, right? Did I get the title right here, Bergie?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Danielle McFadden, aka Bergie, joining us here. On the other side of the desk.
I'm loving being on the other side, and it was interesting hearing you do the reads. I'm wondering if the viewers will think that I'm a better reader at those or you.
Your pre-recorded voice is much better. We have to update it with the new sponsors. That's why we're doing it this way for now. But we can still switch. There's still time for you and I to switch seats.
I'm so happy to be back on this side. I feel like it's where I belong.
And our special guest this morning is the executive director for MassHire Greater Lowell, Kevin Coughlin. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing great, Teddy. Thank you so much for having Danielle and I on the show this morning, and we're really looking forward to discussing this topic.
Yeah, my pleasure to have you here. This is a pretty important service that we hopefully can get some more folks to be aware of, take advantage of, and get out there and fill some of those many jobs that continue to stay vacant out there for our area business community. So before we do that, talk a little bit about what MassHire Greater Lowell does. What is your mission? Who are you out there serving?
So MassHire is a government organization. We have 8 communities that are part of our service area. Lowell is the lead local community for us. We have 2 areas that we concentrate on for our services. One is to help employers and companies to find the proper help and to institute training that qualifies for what they need to do in their business plans. And then the second part of it is on the other side, people who are unemployed or underemployed, to help them organize their searches, bring the resources of the Career Center to bear, and helping them upgrade their skill levels or help them get training they need in order to advance and bring that all together. So we have an amazing set of individuals that work through the Career Center and the Workforce Board. We're all one, but we provide solutions for people who are interested in getting into the workforce, and that's our main goal.
Which brings us to our discussion about QRyde, the a transportation service that you launched. When did this launch?
We launched it really in October of 23, and we started talking about it through the board and Danielle back just midsummer, and it was such an important topic, and it was such a primary barrier to good employment in the area that the board asked us to elevate it, and we elevated it through a pilot program. So this is one of the pilot programs for the Workforce Board, and it's proving successful so far, and I look forward to telling you more as we go on.
All right, I was just going to ask, how is the pilot program going? You're less than 3 months in, right?
Less than 3 months in, we've successfully completed over 900 rides in the program. And what's distinct about this program really is that if you think of Uber, where you get picked up at your home or a set address and you get transported to work, it's similar to that. However, the difference is it's a ride sharing program. So you will not have a vehicle to yourself, most likely, but it's about the idea of taking vehicles and drivers that are already en route, already contracted, and transporting other people. If they have empty seats and they can work on the logistics of it, you can get in that vehicle and get picked up at home and delivered to your workplace and then returned home later on that night. And we're testing it at $2 a ride to make it attractive for people to test.
$2.
That's not a bad price, right?
A great price.
So how does it work? Does it run on like a regular schedule, like the buses do, or other transportation trains or other transportation agencies? Or if I need to call it at, say, quarter of, I can have my ride there at that point.
So for this pilot program, and we talked it over at length with the board, for this pilot program, we actually decided that to start, we would have a 5-day schedule. So a person going picked up at the same time, transporting to the same place for their work schedule. And before we got into any variations in that we would start there. You can book the ride. You can see whether there is seats available for you through a call-in number, which we can discuss later on as we go forward. But we're trying it on a regular schedule, and then we're monitoring not only the successes of the rides, we're monitoring where it wasn't successful. Like if someone took it once or twice and then stopped it, what was wrong, So it's really a good test period. We're analyzing data and we're keeping meticulous records.
So how does it work? Let's say I have a Monday through Friday job. I'm going to show my age here. Say I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? I'm like Dolly Parton. Can I just kind of prearrange the rides for an entire week, for an entire month, in perpetuity until I change jobs or whatever? Or is this something I have to do on a daily basis or the night before, a la Uber?
Yeah, we ask that you give 48 hours notice on a ride. You can take individual rides. It doesn't have to be for a week, but we ask it to be, a pattern that repeats itself in order that we can get a driver and the open seats to be able to work. And at the same time, I want to say that the company QRyde that we're working with, it's very interesting. I want to just talk on that topic. They do not own any vehicles. They do not own any buses or vans or cars to go pick people up. They are the logistical algorithms, simply like the way you would load packages in UPS or Amazon would make deliveries. They take what is a request for a ride and they actually create a marketplace. And that marketplace is open to anybody that has vehicles, anybody that provides transportation, and they actually post that. There's a method, and people can accept to fulfill that, go pick people up, and then transport. So they're not actually doing the transporting. They're working with us for this test with the algorithm behind the scene.
Okay, so are the drivers themselves, are we talking the drivers that Uber uses, or
it could be any
Lyft or whoever else?
We have some basic requirements for drivers. They have to be bonded. They have to be QRyde. They have to be, legitimate, so we know that they're in the transportation business. But there are many hundreds, actually thousands of drivers, not only in Massachusetts, but in this area, there's a couple of thousand drivers commercially that are delivering people all the time. And we're trying to tap into that network with this very creative, unique idea. And so far, it's been working. It's not an answer for everything, but as we say, it's a piece of an answer, because we have to get more people into the workforce.
Okay. When you say you book the ride 48 hours ahead of time, is that for the next day, or can I book it for a week if I want to use that service all the time?
You can book it for a week. As they just they may be able to say, I've got a seat available. You could have it tomorrow if you wanted, but we ask for like a 48-hour leeway so you don't get disappointed and think it's like Uber that someone's going to come in 15 minutes. They have to make sure that ride, and they need to negotiate with whoever picks you up for the reimbursement, because on the other end, the driver and the people who own the van, they're still paying the driver. They're still, paying for gasoline. They still have mileage, and they have to get a fair, calculation of their costs.
But for me, the worker, for $10 a week, I can arrange transportation
Each way, $2 a ride. Yeah.
Okay, so $4. Okay, so we're $20.
Correct. Yes.
$20. I mean, that's a lot more than a tank of gas, auto insurance, and whatnot.
100%.
It makes an awful lot of sense. How are you happy with the response you've gotten so far? How many people? You mentioned 900 people or 900 rides?
900 rides. And these are ongoing. So we have data to support that these are taking place. It has been a good response. And really what we're doing here is, with this company, we're building a service. So you start with the concept, you get riders who are pleased with the service, it's word of mouth, and then it may not be the same person that comes in the same vehicle that picks you up every day, because again, they're creating this marketplace for the open seats. So it's ride sharing. Sure. So it's very unique. We will say, though, that the company has provided similar types of services to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts statewide for non-employment purposes, and they've been very successful, saving the Commonwealth millions of dollars with this type of concept. We're the first ones in the conversation with them through our board of directors and through Danielle's leadership to be able to apply this now to the employment area. And conceptually, it should work well, and we're not in competition with anyone. I would like to say that we're really in partnership with the LRTA. We're in partnership with taxi services. We will transport people however it makes it good for them to get the job, or decrease their need for a second vehicle. Or in some cases, if you don't have a vehicle, we can be that link that makes you get a job and makes you be successful at getting to the workplace.
Sure. So who's taken advantage of it so far? Who is it mostly within the Lowell market? Have some folks from the surrounding communities gotten wise to this yet?
It's both, but the majority, I'd say the lion's share, 70% have been rides from Lowell residents. And we've had great conversations with the city manager of Lowell. We had an announcement of the service with Tom Golden earlier in October, and the city was prepared to support us 100% in this, and we gave the manager the guarantee that we would be Lowell-centric as we start the pilot program. So we're helping either a Lowell resident get to work, or we're helping a Lowell business get an employee to work so that they can sustain their business, and that's the priority.
Any indication what fields, what kind of jobs these folks are working? My wheels are spinning here. I'm thinking restaurant industry, where you've got young college students who are taking Ubers to and from work a lot of times.
100%. It has been for the restaurant industry. The restaurant industry in the past has had trouble getting workers because of the lateness of the shifts. So if you would take a bus, like down in the Burlington area, that was a test, I think, out of this area before. But if you're a waiter or a bartender, you're not coming back at 8:30 at night. You have to be there till the venue closes. And this theoretically, not in every case, but could provide some of that, because 24 hours a day, there are people that are moving and going to jobs, and there are vendors that are providing transportation.
Yeah, because I know we have one server in particular who does a lot of, if there's nobody able to give him a ride at the end of the shift, he does the Uber, and starts to get
lot of money,
pricey.
yeah.
After midnight, those prices get anyone who's used Uber.
Very pricey.
So this
pricey.
price going to stay the same, $2 for the
Well,
the
we're in the
one-way
test
ride.
period. We've garnered through the company of QRyde. Actually, it has not cost MassHire any taxpayer money yet. It's been so good.
Even better.
Yeah, and they've gotten some money. They have gotten some grants, so they provide to pick up the difference. One of the reasons that they sought money from Mass Development originally was because when we assessed and what we were hearing through the Career Center regarding rides, we kept hearing transportation, 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 and then at other points when this was tested in non-employment areas, sometimes people did not take the ride, or they had another alternative, or they took it and it came back to cost, too expensive or whatever. So we tried with this pilot program to say, can we find the funding at the beginning to take the cost factor out of the test? So for $2 a ride, if you don't charge something, people don't appreciate.
Right.
They don't have a respect for it.
game.
Yeah. So we wanted to take the cost factor out of this at the beginning, and we were able to do that. Now we're going to bring this back to a working group meeting that's going to be at the end of January, and Wednesday, the end of the last week in January. We know now that it was successful enough that we will extend this throughout 2024, and we are looking at other revenue sources as well. And some of those are, for instance, clean energy. You get cars off the street with this, so that's a source of revenue for us. The Department of Transportation, the same thing. So people may not need the second vehicle in their home. Then there are some people that may not even need one vehicle if this works well enough and they're able to get to work.
Is there any means testing, or people above a certain
No, this
wage?
is all about just employment. If we can help bring people into the system, it's good if I just can take 45 seconds to a minute just to talk. The genesis of this pilot program comes into this greater problem in Massachusetts and subsequently across the country, but there are just not enough people in the system. So you have businesses across Danielle's membership at the Chamber of Commerce in every community, and across our clients that we have, they cannot open the second shifts that they need. They cannot fulfill the orders that they have because there are just not enough people willing to work. There are not enough people that are there. There's a lot of factors for that. We wonder why there aren't more individuals 30 and under coming into the workforce. They are still, since COVID, not fully committed to coming back into the workforce. There's a big effort to try and go to that. We now, through MassHire and under the leadership of the board, we also reach out to various groups that provide services, Mass Rehab. We also go to the Department of Transitional Assistance, the Commission for the Blind, dislocated workers, youth. And theoretically, this should also work for migrants and immigrants that are newly in. They get their working papers, but they don't have the vehicle yet. They haven't been here long enough. If this model works, it should be adaptable to other areas.
How far will you take somebody to work? I live in, say I have an apartment in downtown Lowell. I don't know, let's throw the Billerica House of Corrections out there. I have a job in the kitchen out there.
Absolutely. So we are providing services to any of the communities in our service area. So if we picked up a Lowell resident or a Dracut resident, we could take them to Billerica, and that's the test area for us right now.
Even the Dracut residents, meaning you have to go across the bridges during the morning.
We'd take them right across
for
those
$2.
bridges. We'd get them across those bridges.
I
Yeah,
feel
for
like
sure.
we should do a show of you just taking a ride.
I'm almost tempted to do.
You try it
I'll
out.
come to the office one
try it out.
morning. So you mentioned funding. All right. Anyone who's taken an Uber, anyone who's taken a bus, whatever, knows that it costs money. While it's relatively free for whoever's using it, it costs money. Somebody has to pay the driver. Somebody has to pay insurance, whatever. Where's your funding coming from? Who's your main funding source, or what organizations are funding the grants that allowed this to happen?
So right now, the main funder that allowed us to start this pilot at $2 a ride is Mass Development, who's headquartered out at Devens, out in Air. And they were prompted to do that because they're trying to actually build up Devens with a lot of investment for new companies moving in. And the Greater Lowell Foundation through Jay Linehan actually brought a company to us, Catania Oil, out there that my example of not being able to do the next shift, develop a second shift. They want a second and a third shift, and they're not able to fill the second shift right now. And they need to fill that. And they've been looking for people from Lowell and or Lawrence. It's only 20 minutes actually from Lowell to come and work. And when we say work, we don't just mean, the worst jobs or any of that stuff. We're talking about their manufacturing, and they actually, it's quite sophisticated. They train individuals. You have this, they're bottling edible oils like olive oils and things like that come in, and they're trained to work on this manufacturing line and whatnot. So they're very good jobs, but they just haven't been able to fill them. And for them, transportation has been number one. And this is not the first people have grappled with it. We're trying to provide this piece, but prior to this, they've tried vans, they've tried carpooling, they've tried this and that. But what they found out during COVID is one person gets sick in a car, nobody else wants to be in the same car with them driving to work. Or if one person's sick, all four people in the car miss their shift. So we're trying to grapple with all those things. I do just want to mention that, in partnership with the LRTA, we are, very good partners with them, and that we try and work in conjunction with them. If someone needed to get to the train station and they weren't on a fixed bus line, we would transport people to the train. We would work with them for drop-offs and bus lines and all of that. So this is a great program because we're not competing with anyone, and it's an open marketplace for people to provide. And if you're a company owner and you have vehicles, let me just give an example. If someone has a van and you've transported someone to the hospital for testing, and that driver and van is waiting for 2 hours, you could accept in this, marketplace a short trip, and it's, more revenue for the owner of the van, and the driver gets to participate in that the same. So it's a way for companies to make more revenue as well.
You're also kind of creating jobs, right? You need
drivers.
The more people use this, the more drivers will be needed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you asked originally in one of the questions, which professions is it best for, and all of that. We're lucky on our board of directors because we have such good professions. We have Lowell General, and which is now Tufts Medical, and they're one of the companies that is one of our test stores, and they're trying to utilize that with their HR individuals so that not only when they hire, they can say, okay, here's our benefits and here's our salary and whatnot, come to work here, but here's this other opportunity that you might be able to take that decreases your costs for getting to work in the morning and all of that. So I think it's every profession across the board. There's hundreds and hundreds of openings for jobs around. There's not enough people in the system, and I think this is something that really could be helpful.
Yeah, I would also imagine there's nothing stopping the company, if it's large enough and can do it in the budget, to offer as an incentive that they'll pick up this cost to bring some people in, right?
Not only is there nothing stopping them, there's actually tax incentives for them. They can provide, companies have special provisions within the federal tax laws for providing transportation benefits to employees in pre-tax situations. So there are some incentives that are built in if there's an economy of scale for them and they want to do that. And it helps them work with any organizations that might be in their workplace too, because they're not showing favoritism. Like if you have certain organized labor, or you have certain contracts, or you have certain things, you're not violating any of those things. You would do that for any employee in your workforce that you would provide a subsidy for to get them to work.
Chatting with Kevin Coughlin, Executive Director of MassHire, Greater Lowell, talking about the QRyde ride-sharing program. Danielle McFadden is here as well. You may know her.
I've ever been.
Yeah, no, this is great. You know her as a podcast host as well here on Inside Lowell. She's also the president of the Greater Lowell Chamber, and she's a member of the MassHire Greater Lowell board. From a board perspective, Danielle, How is this? How is this helping fulfill the mission that you guys have set out?
Well, I guess my worlds collide, being the president of the chamber and then on the board. But I mean, we hear it almost on a daily basis that employers are trying to attract and retain their employees, and how do they do so? And this is really a significant kind of tool in the toolbox for them to use. So I'm excited about the program. And I think that is one way that MassHire is certainly fulfilling the mission and helping employers and also employees. But I'm really excited about the employer part of it, because it kind of melds in with my job.
It's also kind of a community benefit, right? I would imagine there are other communities, similar gateway cities, that can't offer these kind of things because they don't have the collaborations that Lowell has,
offers
right?
so many different programs and collaborations that other communities don't. We're really fortunate in that.
Very lucky here. And, the discussion that our executive board has, and that Danielle had pointed out earlier to us when we were starting to talk about this, is that if the model is successful here with employment, then it's a model that may be adapted and used in other pieces. So, for instance, we know that UMass Lowell, that's on our board as a member, pays millions of dollars to transport students around. And could a piece of that work with students that have a regular class schedule similar to an employment schedule? And we're exploring that. Same for Middlesex Community College and for other venues. So we think it's a good model, and we just need to, spread the word and, just verify that all of these activities so it's ease of use. There is an app that goes on individuals' phones, similar to Uber. You can track when your driver's coming and that they're on time, and you can actually make payments through the app as well. They have a language line. They also have that call-in number. So if you're not technically savvy, you can do it all with a phone call, and they make it easy.
All right. So I think you might have just begun to answer my question, which was, if I'm watching this podcast and I'm like, you know what, this is going to be a tremendous help for me. I can go get that job now that I, would have needed transportation for before. How do I get started? As simple as downloading the app? Do I need you sign up, register? Walk me through it, if you would.
Yeah, well, the simplest way, if you're interested in that, would be to call the phone number that we have on a flyer. We have it 888-575-6676. And there's a full-time person. You're going to not get a machine. You're going to get a human at the other end. And they will explain to you the parameters if you have any questions. There is an app, and it's the QRyde app, and you can download that. You can go to the App Store and download it. And but I would suggest for the first time, because people will probably have questions like, how soon before the ride comes do I need to be ready? And
I was just about to ask. Let's say I'm still tying my shoes, which I struggle with.
How long will they wait?
Certain days, if my back is sore, will the driver take off if I'm not waiting on the sidewalk? Will they give me time to walk out?
There's a time period. I think it's 7 minutes or 10 minutes or something.
Hopefully it doesn't take you that long to tie your shoes.
I can sneak in 7 extra minutes of sleep. Who are you kidding? Forget the shoe tying. I just get Velcro shoes.
So they've developed all these protocols. So there's a standard operating procedure for providing a very professional service, and they can be assured that the drivers have all been qualified and everything is good for that. And just last piece of it, through the suggestion of Danielle and the board asked as to whether or not we could provide any of these services to help high school students in their internships after school get to say the vocational school, getting to Drum Hill for some of the fast food places or things like that. So we've offered that both to the Lowell High School and to the vocational school. We're in discussions with Superintendent Jill Davis, who's also a member of our board, about the possibility of their culinary class being transported down to Burlington. So we're seeing if that might be one of our tests in the future, or maybe something we try in the summer.
That means you'd be expanding from your 8 communities, because you mentioned it's the 8 communities. Correct. Lowell, obviously, Chelmsford, Westford, Dunstable, Tingsboro, Billerica, Tewksbury, and of course Draycote across the river.
Correct. So and
you add Burlington to that, you make it 9.
It's the straight shot down Route 3. The other piece of that, however, is we would want to have a little extra caution in terms of, high school students, non-adults being transported, but the the technical school will tell us how to do that. So we're not worried about that piece. But it's a very interesting aspect that if we can just get this core solidified and we verify that those connections and the ease of use, then I think that model is adaptable in so many different places. And our goal would be to get people where they need to go for good purposes. Our lane is all about employment, for us, and training. And then the second piece is, saving money. If we can save government institutions some money, like the vocational school, the colleges, Middlesex Community College between campuses, if we could save transportation costs for them, then that's also part of our mission as well.
But it's been enough of a success that you can commit to having it throughout 2024.
Yes, I'm going to be bringing that to the full board, but we're going to.
Did you know that, Danielle?
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news.
But we're going to bring to the working group at the end of January, and then it'll come to the executive board shortly after that. But we actually have a couple of things. We're going to try and do the official extension, in which the board would need to vote that. The second thing would be to look for alternative funding sources, like in the, environmental area or the DEI area, because this provides an opportunity for individuals. And then the other thing would be, are there some other test cases? Like, we may want to do one run over to Air to see if we could get Lowell residents over there for open jobs that are there now. And then maybe extend it also to the new migrants that are coming in, the new immigrants that we house in Lowell, and offer that as part of the comprehensive response that the city has put together under Manager Golden.
Okay. Is there any kind of verification? Like, what if I'm just asking you for a ride to McDonald's instead of really working?
You'd have to do that 5 days a week. Stay for a while.
Yeah. So it's just similar to Uber. You're going to get knowledge of the driver, and you're going to get the time that they come, and that they're going to tell you it's 5 minutes away and this kind of thing. And then when they're there, you get a note on your phone that they're there. You can come out to the car, and you'll have the licenses and the vehicles. All of that will be supplied to the rider ahead of time so that they know.
Awesome. I love the idea when I first heard about it, and I'm glad to hear it's working out enough that you can extend it. One more time, that phone number, if folks want to start the process and book their ride.
This is such a lucky number. It could be a lottery number as well for anyone this weekend. 888-575-6676.
All right, Kevin Coughlin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank
It's been
you.
great to be here this morning.
Thanks for being here as well.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now slide on over into
good.
this seat.
I like it.
I'm not sure I can handle quiet Danielle. She's usually a lot more boisterous. Thank you to you as well for joining us here at Inside Lowell. Inside Lowell, as we like to say, if Lowell is your home, this is your place. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.